Good afternoon, everyone. Once again, this is Eric Burcham with ApexCCTV. Welcome back to our video tutorial series on port forwarding. This is a short tutorial that's just going to cover one simple topic, and that is how to find those darn username and passwords for routers. Usually you run into a situation where somebody's running a default username and password. Most people don't follow the best practice of changing that default password, and so that gives us a little bit of luck when we're trying to log into a customer's router. So the first thing I'm going to do is just browse to my router, and if we see here, the part number is WGR614 version 9. It's a simple Netgear router, very common that you might run into in someone's home or someone's small business. If the login page doesn't have the part number, and many of them do, you can always just physically take a look at the router. Usually it'll be printed pretty clearly on the top. If not, it will definitely be on a sticker on the bottom of the router. But this part number is really all we need to find default username and password. So I'll cancel out of this dialog because I don't want to log in yet. And we'll go over here to Google because Google seems to know everything. And we'll just enter the part number. I just pasted it there, followed by default password. And of course there's going to be a ton of results. Surprisingly, most of these will actually be correct. Just try the first one. If you don't find it there, try the next one. I verified a minute ago for the purposes of this demo that it's here. So here somebody says, I read the forms and they say the default password and username is admin and password. That's actually correct for this router. That's the same thing that's printed in the user manual. Of course, if the user manual is available, you can look there. If it's not, you can always go to the manufacturer's website, and they should have a support link somewhere here, I'm sure. I'm just kind of winging this, guys, just like you would be, so I haven't actually run down this particular path of logic. But if we put in a model number here and then hit search answers, default password for Netgear devices, that looks promising. If we go back to their home page and just skip the support link that I clicked on and just do, let's see, let's get back to out of the support side. I'm just going to back up and go back to their home page. One more try. So here's their home page. I'm just going to put the model number here in the search box and click go. It'll probably come up with the home page for that product. Netgear WGR614 54 megabit per second. That's me, so I'll click that. And typically somewhere on here you're going to have documents. So here's a data sheet, smart install wizard, assistant flash demo. I'm sure there's more stuff laying around if I care to dig for it, but that looks promising. More than likely it's a installation guide, so if I download this I'll probably find a default username and password in there if I need it. And as a sort of a last resort, or rather a way to kill two birds with one stone, if you go visit PortForwardcom, this is a fantastic resource. They list the exact steps to forward ports in hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of different router models. So again, it's www.portforward.com. I'm going to click on router list here, and that'll take me to a huge list of routers. It's very rare that I don't find one in here. I mean, exceedingly rare. If it's got a web-based interface, it's almost always here. So I'm just going to do a quick search again for my part number, and of course there it is under Netgear. So we'll click on this, and now I said you could kill two birds with one stone. This is a list of different applications and their default ports. So if I were forwarding a GeoVision card, for example, or some piece of GeoVision software, I can search for GeoVision. Here they've got instructions for Center V2, Dispatch Server, DMIP, Remote Playback, Remote View, SMS, Twin DVR, Twin Server, Vital Sign Monitor, Webcam. So this is the most common one. I'll click on that. Now I've got a complete guide on how to forward ports to my router for this model number. So I'm just going to actually stick my private IP address in this box, and then I've got a fully populated set of instructions. And right here under the image of the login screen, you will always find the default username and password. Frankly, I usually look here first because most of the time I can find my port forwarding application in this list. and that allows me to not have to jump around very much. I can just sort of grab my notes all from one place and go jump into a router. If worse comes to worse and the default username and password has been changed, of course you're stuck with the horrifying error prompt that says please contact your network administrator, and usually that's going to be a third party. Typically homeowners and small businesses don't know their own router username and password, or it's been given to them the notes somewhere that are lost. So usually you got to get a hold of the guy that did their network setup for them. Might be Comcast or Cox or AT&T if they used like their internet service provider came out and set it up for them. Or if they're a business, they'll typically have somebody that they contract with for those things. So grab the owner, get the phone number, and go to town trying to hunt it down that way. And of course, if you do find that a router has a default username and password in it, you should absolutely encourage them to allow you to change that to something they can remember, so that somebody else can't just find a quick guide on Google and log into their system. This concludes my tutorial on finding default usernames and passwords for various routers. We hope you've enjoyed it. Please come visit us at www.apexcctv.com. Thank you.